Committee meeting. Today is August 25th. Today is September 22nd. Guess I gotta read from the right agenda. September 22nd at 4 p.m. The first item on the agenda is to call the meeting to order, which we have done. The second item is to establish a quorum, which we do have a quorum present. J.B. Schutz and Paul Bodie are not here, but we do have a quorum. Second item on the agenda is the posting requirements. The agenda was posted in accordance with the requirements by the service district staff. The third item on the agenda is to get an update from the district attorney regarding the sunshine laws, but we're just gonna put that on hold for right now and see who else shows up, and maybe we'll do it at the end of the meeting or something if Tony's available, or we'll hold it till the next meeting. Item 4 on the agenda is approval of the meeting minutes, and the agenda says June 11th. That's really August 11th, right?
Yes.
August 11th.
Well. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
August the 11th
Yeah.
and September the 8th.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so we got two sets of meeting minutes to approve, which Diane had sent out previous to the meeting, and they're also attached to the agenda. So if
I'll
you all,
revise.
I can make a motion to approve the August 11th. I didn't make the other meeting.
August the 11th, okay,
Yes.
so we have a motion to approve August 11th. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have a second. Any discussion? Let's see. All right. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So then the second set of meeting minutes is from September 8th. You were at September 8th meeting.
Yeah, that was just the last one,
Yeah.
but I'll make a motion to approve that.
Okay, so we have a motion, so do we have a second, Dolores?
Yes, I'll second it. I was for that one.
Yeah. So we have a motion and a second. One comment, it says, a resident, Kathleen Flaherty, arrived at late. It should just say arrived late or whatever. There's an extra word in there. Any other corrections or suggestions? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So that brings us up to item 5, which is old business. The first thing is the master plan vision regarding the RFQ and the master plan consultant, and I guess Scott is gonna give us an update, but Scott has already passed out the 4 proposals that were received, which we've got a proposal from Land Architects. Qualifications, right. From Land Architects, from Bruce Howard, from Morris Depew, and from Dave Jones. Not sure why we didn't get one from Insight, but we didn't.
Now, what are we doing with these?
Well, we have to review them and rank them.
They're going to do the boulevard?
They're gonna do the boulevard in total. Scott, you wanna,
Yeah, right, this is for the overall boulevard on Gateway Boulevard, for the part of the master planning that we had talked about. And I think what we would like to do is if permitted, I'd like to get with Paul and come up with a ranking sheet, and then we can send that to everyone, so everybody has the same form and the things to look at. I'm sorry I didn't have that accomplished
So
prior to
what
the
we
meeting.
did with the medium is just the medium.
That's just
That
like
the
same
median is
person
separate,
not
right,
gonna
And
do
we're gonna
that.
address that in a moment.
right,
Okay,
So this is a request for qualifications
okay.
for professional services
So we
for
have to read all
landscape
that.
architecture for the whole boulevard,
Okay,
okay? And Paul and I will come up with a evaluation sheet, if you will, a rating,
Mhm.
and we'll share that with the rest of the committee.
okay.
And send that out, and then maybe, at next month's meeting, we'll be able to have that and submit that and have it part of the discussion,
Okay,
if that's
Perfect.
the desire.
right, so it gives everybody a chance to look at it, so nobody's gonna be on the spot now to try to read 100 pages.
Oh, yeah, no way.
Yeah, wouldn't get very
In
far.
an
on
hour?
that, so, yeah.
And for those that are not attending today, the other committee members will make an effort to get these documents to them by the end of the week.
Okay, good. And what, like as Scott said, what's in here should be things about their past performance, ideas that they may have, to help Gateway move forward, maybe what they might do to address public comments and maybe putting on like a design charrette or something like that. I'm not sure what all's in there, but it would be those kind of things. And as Scott said, we've got to come up with a way to rank them. So we'll work on that and move forward then. So that's item 5A. So we don't need any motion, or we don't need to do anything with that one. The next one is 5B, which is the landscape plan for the medians on the north end of Gateway Boulevard. And Diane had made copies, and we've already got those, of a plan sheet that was prepared by Insight. It shows one of the medians in the first page, and then the second page is just some color photographs of some of the plants that they're proposing. So I guess we can turn it over to you to kind of explain or...
Introduce Jonathan. Jonathan, if you don't mind, so we catch it on the recording, use the pulpit there. Appreciate that, yeah. The lectern, how's that? Sorry, the lectern, sorry.
For the record, John Romine, landscape architect with Insight. Just real quick, we looked at the entire 4 medians, and then we took a step back once we kind of looked at the limits of clear site and what we can plan, and a couple conversations I had with Bob DeBrock from Lee County DOT regarding what they've had the most success with, and how they, since they're taking over the maintenance of the road, not the landscaping, but the maintenance of the road, what they, based on some of the lawsuits that they've been dealing with from accidents, what they consider frangible. And it came down to a very, very short list of materials, unless the CDD wants to have what Bob said that they're doing on some of their projects. It's essentially a revolving replacement program. So as a tree, if there's a tree of preference, Bolnesia is a good example, Vera Woods. As they get to, after planted, they're about 8 to 10 years in, they exceed FDOT's 4-inch caliper requirement, which is what they have to be, that size or smaller within the clear zone. Well, the whole thing, every median's a clear zone. So he said one of the things that they're doing on roads of high visibility, and they need to make a significant impact as it relates to color and some other things, how it looks, they've looked at having a 7 to 10 year replacement program, or relocation program is really what it is. And they use those trees on other sites, or and replace with the same tree in a smaller variety until it goes. The problem with that is you're in this never-ending revolving cost of tree replacement relocation that it's never going to get any cheaper or go away. So what we looked at is trees that they've had success with, that they've been able to maintain on roads that they have clear zone issues. And the 2 trees that they've had the most luck with that meet the requirements of FDOT have been that they can get the clearance, because the other thing is we have to worry about is clearance of vehicles coming through, are silver buttonwoods and Alexander palms. I know it's not a huge plant selection, but the other thing that we talked about is consistency. We can't look at every single median as a garden, and we can't plant them differently, otherwise it starts to become a hodgepodge. And everything surrounding on both sides of the road is primarily green as it exists today, especially in those 2 medians, without a whole lot of area to plant anything additionally. So where we can plant trees, and again, this will have to be reviewed and approved by Bob and his staff at Lee County DOT. He said it'll be a quick turnaround. As soon as I get it to him, it'll be a week or less. But what we did is looked at the noses of the medians from an understory, and that can be an opportunity for annuals. If you don't want to go down the road of an annual program, there are other low growing. Within that first 100 feet, you have to keep your materials under 18 inches maintained. But that would be an area where you could add some color at the noses of each of the medians. And what would be nice about that, that's really the entrances into other communities as well. And then we switched over. We had some understory perennial peanut right along the back of curb. gives the maintenance staff a place to, it's a hardy plant, it gives the maintenance staff a place to maintain other materials, some Green Island ficus in the middle. It's proven quite successful in, from Collier County all the way up to Sarasota. It's non-invasive, but has proven to be a very maintainable, pest-resistant plant material, solid green, some Alexander palms. And then in the middle, when I met with Scott and Ellie, we talked about grasses, and I know there's a desire to maybe not have any grasses, ornamental grasses. They're a couple times a year you have to maintain them. The dwarf Fakahatchee grass is pretty pest resistant, and it creates some level of consistency with some of the other plant materials that are along the corridor outside of what I think the CDD maintains. And then it repeats itself once you get on the other side of that silver buttonwood tree, and then that typical would repeat itself in the other medians as well. We would probably be able to have additional silver buttonwood trees since the other medians are larger. But our big challenge is the noses of the medians, where we have to have that everything is less than 100 feet of it. Everything has to be less than 18 inches tall for visibility reasons, for making turning movements on the side streets. So with that,
What's the height of the plants beyond the 100 feet?
the understory can be taller than that. It can be a hedge. I mean, as tall as you guys would want to maintain. We were trying to keep everything throughout the whole median at 36, basically a maintained height of 36 inches.
And so you're gonna have a solid hedge? How does that meet the
And
site
the solid hedge would be maintained at 18 to 24.
Okay,
I mean, it could be maintained at easily at 18 inches. As I have
Okay.
Green Island ficus in my house, and it's maintained at just a little over 18 inches.
You
No
can do
problems.
anything to them and they still look nice.
Yeah,
okay.
and
So-
it's not the invasive. It's the one that it's similar to the natal plum. It just doesn't have the disease and pest issues, and it doesn't have the thorns that tend to collect garbage.
Okay, and then you're proposing that basically a similar pattern would be
Yes.
repeated in the other two medians?
Correct.
Are we good with annuals? We have them elsewhere.
That would be in addition to the contract.
Right now, currently, we don't have annuals there. It would be
Right.
an add-on to the contract, and,
If you didn't do annuals, what would you use that would be 18 inches?
Well, we would probably look at either just fill the nose with perennial peanut, or come up with another ground cover, maybe something like Asian jasmine, or something that would require minimal maintenance. And once it fills in, it's essentially just keeping it trimmed at the level that you want.
The annuals are good as long as you guys are okay with
It's a budget item. You have
putting in more,
right.
right?
but this fiscal year that starts October 1 does not have that in the budget. Not to say it can't be adjusted.
But the
Yeah.
perennial peanut would be in this price budget, right?
It'd be in the road budget, yes, but not
So-
the ongoing maintenance.
Yeah.
So we could do.
None of the ongoing maintenance is in the road budget. That's a separate.
But you've got no mowing to do here either.
Correct.
True.
So we get a credit back for mowing, and sometimes that can offset doing some plant.
We'll get a nickel and
maintenance.
spend a quarter. Is that what you're saying?
Well, not always. Mowing, taking care of grass gets
I know,
expensive.
I know. Less edging, yeah.
Right. Well, I'm not sure about less edging, because you're still gonna have to do some of that.
You couldn't come up with anything better than Fakahatchee?
There's other grass options. We were looking at materials that require the least amount of cost and maintenance, and are successful in the soil. We're dealing with essentially road-based soils in these medians, because that's what they are. But there are, we are absolutely open to suggestions. It was a matter of a texture, looking at different textures, so we didn't have all of the same look and feel for everything.
I think Al and I had a discussion when we looked at this, the end of the week, of maybe an option of, in lieu of the grasses, to go with,
Maybe some bromeliads.
bromeliad of some sort, that could take full sun. I don't know, just,
A bromeliad would be much better than Fakahatchee. Oh,
And so, and also with the silver buttonwood, like you mentioned before, since they're prone to the sooty mildew, I might suggest maybe a green buttonwood instead of a silver buttonwood.
well, he
If-
put the silver in there for color, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And for the frangible side, the green buttonwood within
Oh,
within
it's not-
5
okay,
years,
gotcha.
even the multi-trunk will violate the
understand.
FDOT. And that's really what it came down to. Bob and I went through we went through that whole list that
Yeah.
I shared with you last week, and we came down to 3 trees that the county is comfortable that they won't get sued on, based on recent accidents that have happened in their medians that are landscaped. That's,
One silver buttonwood, the Alexander palm, what was the other?
thatch palms.
Well, I like them better than the silver buttonwood, or the Alexander palm. Thatch palm gets pretty wide though, doesn't it?
They get wide and they're not going to give you any height. I mean, the tallest the thatch palm is going to get is about 8 feet. I mean, and that's going to take 20, 30 years to get
But they're
there.
prettier.
and what you were trying to get a variety
Yep.
of textures in here is what you're,
And try to recreate some level of the over canopy that you had before, because part of one of the requirements that Lee County DOT is going to have on you is meeting the clearance, the roadway clearance for cars, trucks, and everything like that. And these are materials that they're currently using that they're not having any issues with, as long as they're pruned properly, which I don't think will be an
Real
issue.
quick question, are foxtail palms or adenidiums either one considered a frangible tree?
The foxtails are not,
Definitely.
and adenidias are right there on that edge. Because,
Are they-
and it's because of the Alexanders are the only ones that at the base, they stay the same height all the way up. Adenidias get a little wider at the
They
base,
do. Yeah,
like
and I know
Montgomery.
foxtails do too.
Like Montgomerys do. Montgomerys are the ideal choice because you can maintain the height the best, but within a year or two, they're gonna exceed the requirements, so.
We didn't do anything in that first median where those 9 royals are. I mean, I don't think we asked Jonathan to look at anything.
It's on my plans.
I did include.
Should we?
I did include it in the request for proposal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think we ought to.
We will. It's part of our plans. But
Okay.
it'll essentially be the understory pattern will be the only thing that would be
Kevin, how do you
in there
feel
instead
about
of
this?
there wouldn't be any overstory because
Okay.
you already have the.
Because you have the royal.
Right.
Well, and the thing that would do would be to get rid of that grass that these guys don't have to
Absolutely.
go out there and mow.
Correct.
So, okay.
Yep, there would be
So
no.
so that is in the thought process.
Yep,
then.
yep, it's on our plans. It's part of our
Okay,
plans.
so it's really, we're talking about 4 medians
Yep.
then, that's good.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we had talked before about not having grasses just because they were kind of unsightly fairly quickly.
They've been
Yes.
overused.
Right.
Terrible.
And so I would suggest something different than that. And then I think, annuals are nice, but for 4 medians, I think if we just use the annuals at the entrances of these communities, that would probably be enough. And then
Mhm.
have something else where you go around the bend.
Mhm.
Something that, wouldn't have to be changed out so often or changed out. And, I don't know what you said recommending what for that?
It would just be a different ground cover, so
Right.
whether Asian jasmine or you extend the perennial peanut all the way down to get a little flower, I mean, it would be along those lines.
Well, if you,
Okay.
if you put annuals at each entrance though, that would actually be, of the 3 medians that have nothing, that would only be 1 that wouldn't have annuals. There's only 1 median that's not at an entrance.
Let me pull up the
1,
area.
2,
Cause you got 2 at Stony
3.
Brook, 2 at this entrance, and 2 at this entrance.
Isn't there another one past that, or am I thinking something?
No, it's just, that's where the median ends, so that one would not be at,
Oh, you're right. Okay.
But that would make sense, maybe that first one, you're right, you don't do anything there.
I mean, I almost have a tendency to just do annuals out at 82 and not do them here, just similar to what we have out on
Mhm.
Gateway Boulevard,
Mhm.
right, and Tree Line.
Yep.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot more cost-effective
Mhm.
way of doing it. That makes sense?
That makes sense to me, I agree. I mean, the annuals look nice, but, it is a cost thing, and like you said, it's a constant headache, and I think the way the contract is set up with the other bullnoses that have them in Gateway, I think Mainscape replaces them 4 times a year? 3 times a year? Okay. So it's every 4 months there.
I think Gateway over time has replaced some of the annual beds with,
A lot of them you have, right?
with
Al?
more perennial stuff, right?
No, actually, we still continue to do the annuals.
I thought you
I'm
did
not
some of
saying,
them
I'm not saying in
smaller.
general, but I'm saying it seems like those annual beds years ago were more frequent
They
and bigger.
They were, yes.
Right, so from a cost standpoint, they were trying to, and maintenance,
And some
sorry,
of it
I'm
was
trying to get
DOT,
that
they just
going
cut them
there.
back and made them smaller.
okay,
It's blue.
Paul,
When Daniel's
This went off.
Parkway was widened out there.
okay.
yeah, you're talking about the meeting and the bullnoses at the entrance to the
Yes.
communities. What's that noise?
It's the TV.
Oh.
You broke it.
Probably. Yeah, at the, off of 82, you don't have a, you know, that would be a non-annual bullnose. And then, you have an entrance here into, Rainbrook,
As well.
and here, to the other, Ivy Brook, I always get them mixed up, and then into Stony Brook to Pebble Brook. So really, you've got
Two noses.
two
that
bull
would-
noses, the
right.
beginning and the end, that would be left
Right.
uh,
Or as
Without
Kevin
annuals,
suggested,
there
do
we
we put annuals in any of them? Why not just
Sure.
change the ground cover to something different? So it breaks up the perennial peanut,
that's a thought, I'm just,
gives you different color, different texture, and then it saves going out there and worrying about replacing them.
no, I agree.
Or you're saying we don't have annuals currently at 82, but what can, can we put annuals there? Just to kind of be consistent with the rest of the other entrance to the property?
Community, yeah, we do have some annuals in the large gateway sign and the monument sign.
Oh, and that
Do you
would
know
probably
those lights
suffice,
aren't
yeah.
working? I meant to send you an email on the monuments.
Oh,
You're not out here at night.
we've had a lot of light issues. Lightning has been a horrible thing.
Yeah, that would probably suffice with the angels and the, I forgot about that in the,
We have them up on the raised portion, that they just got put in and they haven't grown yet, but Freddie's gonna take care of that for me.
Okay, other thoughts or comments?
So in other words, we're tied by Lee County.
Well, you're tied by FDOT, which Lee County adheres to. The Florida Department of Transportation essentially is the one that creates the rules. And because of issues on other roadways within Lee County relating to things that, even though they are county roads and county owned and county maintained, that don't meet FDOT's requirements, attorneys have been able to point to those requirements and use that as a reason why somebody was injured, died, whatever, in a car accident as it related to clear zones.
You only have one silver buttonwood in there.
That's about all the room we have is with, or would have to take the palms out due to the spacing coming off of the nose of the medians.
But you would repeat them more frequently when you get to that
The
first
bigger
median.
median, yes, the bigger
coming up,
medians
yeah.
have the bigger medians have the ability to have more, the southern two medians.
Yeah, this is the one right after the palm trees. Yeah.
Yep,
Right.
yep.
Yep.
It's the second median in from State Road 82.
Then the next median's a little shorter, if I'm not mistaken, and then you have the long one.
Right. The long one, there's all kinds of room to do plantings in.
So with those suggestions to Jonathan, are we good to go then?
Is there any other plant selection besides bromeliads?
Okay, I'm sorry. Say again, please.
Is there any other plants to consider besides bromeliads? I'm not opposed to them, I'm just asking, that was the one section.
There's
What
not
do
too
you
many
think?
bromeliads that will live in the sun.
Yeah, it's one variety. They have them on,
And that's the
Martin Luther
green one,
King.
isn't it?
It's the orange one.
The orange one?
Yeah, the green ones don't like the sun.
Well, that would give a little color.
You have the bromeliads, aren't they gonna be a little, height challenge compared to the, Green Island ficus? Are they really gonna be able to show? Didn't you say the Green Island ficus are gonna probably keep it, what, 14 to 18
The
inches?
Green Island ficus will be kept at 18 inches, but they're not adjacent to each
Yeah,
other.
they stop short of the
Yeah,
palms.
they stop at the palms, and then the perennial peanut goes the rest of the way under the palms, and then
Oh, I see.
just under the silver buttonwood is where
So they
the,
really wouldn't overlap, so one
Right.
wouldn't hide.
I
the
see,
other.
okay,
Right.
I didn't see that earlier.
and I know the county is using a lot of the horizontal cocoa plum, which, gives you a little bit of red, but it's very similar in texture to the Green Island ficus. Counties use some of the Gold Mound Duranta, which is the bright yellow. Long-term, I'm not sure how sustainable that is. From a maintenance standpoint, I think it gets to,
The only two things on here that I like is the Green Island ficus and the perennial peanut. So don't mess with them. Because that looks pretty.
mhm.
The other thing that I really don't like Fakahatchee grass, never have, and it's all over Gateway.
Well, and that's what you're saying you would put in.
The bromeliads.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not sure that's a good choice either.
I'm not really feeling that for whatever reason.
They always look kind of burned, don't they?
Well, I don't think they're gonna, in my mind, this area underneath these palms and this buttonwood need to be, kind of be filled in. Or is it gonna kind of be,
Well, see, they'll be
Sparse in
around
my
the
mind.
green, they'll be around the buttonwood.
yeah, I understand, but I just, personal preference. Does anybody in the audience would have an idea?
Well, I do kind of have a question. I like the way it would picture with the perennial peanut, Green Island ficus, but a thought comes to mind. Green Island ficus is a vining type ground cover. I'm sorry, the perennial peanut
Right.
is the vining ground cover. Is it gonna be crawling and climbing all in? Is that not gonna become a maintenance issue to keep it from taking over the Green Island ficus?
I don't think it's not going to be an issue with taking over the Green Island ficus because it's not gonna climb up on it like it would, like,
Okay.
like it does.
It's
Right.
gonna go up and into
I mean,
the-
there's nothing to say that it's not going to be underneath the Green Island ficus,
No,
but
that's not a problem, as
Right.
long as it doesn't want to climb into it.
I don't see that being an
Okay.
issue. I mean, downtown, they have it all next to, you guys have a better maintenance program than downtown Fort Myers does, and they have perennial peanut everywhere, and it's adjacent to all different hedge materials.
Gotcha.
And they don't have an issue with
It
that.
doesn't tend to climb into it.
No, it's not, it doesn't grow that rapidly like that, like some of the other
Okay.
vines do.
I think Kathy has a
Is
question.
periwinkle,
It's a weed.
has to be in the shade, doesn't it?
It prefers
I
that.
think so, yes.
Kathleen?
Okay, the
Bromeliads?
Bromeliads.
okay, is there any way you can get a picture of those?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't wanna put annuals, if they have some color, could those go there? I'm just asking.
There'll be a height issue with the bromeliads and the noses of the median because you have to maintain at 18 inches and the shorter bromeliads are the ones that don't like the full sun. So you would be exceeding that 18-inch height limit for maintenance of the noses of the medians.
You just said though before, in between, that they would be around 18 inches, that they would be kept at 18 inches.
The Green Island ficus will be kept at 18
No, no,
inches.
No, you said the,
Fakahatchee grass?
no, the bromeliads, the whatever you call them. I'm not very good at pronouncing this word.
Bromeliad?
Yeah, you You just said a few minutes ago, when you put, if you put them in there, that you would keep them at 18 inches, you did say that.
And I misspoke, because the bromeliads, you can't
Yeah,
you can't prune them like that, they don't grow that way.
I'm just asking.
If you put, like jasmine or something in the bullnoses, would that have any color to it?
No, it'd be a dark green against the lighter green of the perennial peanut. It's gonna be tough to find any ground cover or low material with color outside of annuals. I mean, that's just the reality. That will live in these medians. I know the county's tried Purple Queen a ton, and all it does is die. You step on it, break a stem off, and that stem's dead. I mean, it's one of those, I mean, there's variegated plants, things like flax lily, but that's hit or miss based on the soils. They've had a ton of success in some medians, and other medians, it's failed miserably. I mean, there's junipers, personally not a fan. They take a while to establish and fill in. They have their own pest issues. Trying to think what else counties use. Those are the 4 main ground covers they've used all across Lee County that they've been able to keep alive in medians.
Well, they probably use perennial peanuts in the bullnose too, right?
We could try it. They've tried it in a couple medians, and some reason it doesn't like the soil. I mean, that is absolutely an option. The variegated jasmine, that's the variegated version of the Asian jasmine. It's yellow and green leaves instead of just green.
Well, that's pretty, yes. Can you use that?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to soils. So if the soils are bad, then you're not going to, I mean, you can do a soil test, but you're not going to know whether it's
But
going to
that
survive.
gets higher than the perennial peanut, doesn't it?
I mean, it doesn't get much taller than 6 inches. I mean, it's a vine. It grows together, and you keep it clean across the top, just like the Asian jasmine. It's just
It'd be more maintenance though.
that's not a ton of maintenance. I mean, it really isn't. Once all of this is planted, it's going to be less maintenance than what's currently being paid, because you're not mowing and treating turf and all the things that come along with Floratam. So I think anything that you put in the medians, once it's established, is going to be less maintenance. And then once the medians are full, even outside of probably around the bases of the trees, even mulching should be
Pretty minimal.
at a minimum, which is the idea behind a lot of this. So, back to your point earlier, Paul, I mean, initially you will have some increased cost, but that's because it's plant establishment. But I would be willing to bet that your costs for maintenance for these 4 medians should decrease once the materials are established.
Well, let me ask a question, and Jared, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I mean, and Freddie, we have these 4 medians with the Floratam now. And with what we're talking about and looking at, and even if we went with, they added annuals on, just say all the bull noses to make it simple. I mean, do you have a feel if there'd be adjustment either way, or it'd be a wash, or, again, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I don't know if you had a gut.
I don't know, it really depends on how big plant beds are, and, I mean, I can run the numbers pretty quickly. But it just depends on how many flowers we're installing, it comes down to the price of flowers, and then the maintenance of those flowers, soil and all that good stuff.
It's about 200 per nose is what so it's 8 noses.
But you're comparing
Right.
the maintenance of one flower bed
Right.
versus the maintenance of a similar sized patch of grass, correct? Yeah, I mean.
Well, I think Scott's asking about the entire median.
Entire.
Yeah, the 4 medians
Yeah.
in there, I don't know,
Well, the ground covers, I mean, are certainly gonna be less maintenance than turf, no doubt about that, especially once it gets established, we'll just be in there edging it, and I would say on the perennial peanut, we have that over at, Plantation, Bridgetown, where they planted it about 4 months ago. And it does, we do, in order to keep it looking the way it needs to look, maintained, we do have to get in there and edge it and keep it off the other plantings, otherwise it just kinda grows together and it doesn't look maintained.
so you gotta keep them
You
separated.
do, so there is some maintenance
Yeah.
involved, but not near as much as turf.
I noticed there's a lot of, is it the perennial peanut out here on Daniels Parkway,
Yeah,
the whole median, well, not the whole median, but the bulk of it where
long
the,
sections of
the
it.
double left turn lane coming into Gateway.
Yeah.
That's
And
what I'm
farther
looking at.
down the other side of I-75, there's some medians with it in too, right?
It's all visibility reasons. You talk about a double turn lane, that's usually why. They don't wanna mulch the whole median because they've had fire issues. People throwing cigarette butts.
Yeah, yeah.
And whole medians catching on fire, and they have drip irrigation, which brings a whole nother, or melting plastic, whatever, whole big problems that they've had. And they don't wanna put grass back in there, one, because of the cost to maintain it, but two, it's the effort it takes to maintain a grass and a median on a road like Daniels Parkway. It's next to impossible
Yeah.
with closing lanes down and being able to get in and out of there without a significant cost for MOT and stuff like that.
Well, then if not, again, as far as the maintenance, it'd be sort of a wash if we were to do, or it'd be less than taking care of turf, even if we did annuals on the bull noses, is that, or this plant palette here, I mean,
Yeah, I mean.
be comparable or a little less even? is-
Yeah, I think so. And in the grand scheme of Gateway as a
Yeah.
whole, we're not talking about.
Yeah,
huge-
we want it to look good, we want it to have the impact, we wanna, it's our doormat coming in, from
Yeah, and I
the
bet
north
if
end.
if we go back to the idea of the annuals, it's not gonna break the budget.
No, I don't think so, it's minimal,
Yeah,
that's,
Relatively
so-
small beds.
It's just a matter of, that's another maintenance issue you gotta get out there and do, but you definitely can, and you can change them, because you can pick different colors,
right,
and,
Right.
there's some real advantages to that, so.
Yeah, you just have to be careful what colors you would put in there, because you don't want it to either, A, get lost in the yellow of the perennial peanut, or contrast against it too heavily, because you just gotta watch what colors you blend together there.
Well, we could,
So that it does blend and look right.
the thing to do would be to get the landscape architect to make some recommendations for the 3 seasons. Here's a couple plans for this season, here's a couple for this, and then you can change them, and you got a plan. I mean, it's not,
There you go.
we don't have to sit there and think about it each year.
and we don't
Yeah,
have to make the decision now.
and on that point, Paul, one of the things that Bob said that he's going to require as part of this is a detailed maintenance program for these 4
Okay.
medians. So I told him that it's not a
Sure,
problem. It's
no
no
problem.
different than what we have to provide him on their roadway, so.
I think we want it to look,
Yeah.
upgraded,
It'll be the same as all the rest of
Not
Gateway
the back
Boulevard,
door.
tell them.
we want it to look good.
In terms of annuals, I will say those areas dry out very, very quickly,
Mhm.
especially with no shade cover and the soils in there with the base rock and the asphalt, in the dry, October, May, it's just really difficult. So we'll definitely wanna make we probably don't have the ability to have a separate zone there from an irrigation standpoint to water those, but,
Good point, yeah.
I know we have that problem at the intersection of Griffin and Gateway there. Those beds always dry out, they have a hard time
Yeah.
keeping them.
Depends on what you put in there, right?
Yeah, but I don't think that's not a huge concern, design-wise, in my opinion. I mean, it's no different than most other communities that have some sort of ground cover behind their annuals. so.
Well, I know Gold Lantana is not a long-term solution, but that they planted on Colonial, there at Colonial and 6 Mile, was gorgeous right now.
Mhm.
It's all mounted up and busting with
The,
flowers.
the city, yeah, one of the things the city of Fort Myers is doing when they plant perennial peanut is they'll also fill in with the native lantana, knowing that it's going to cycle out, just so it's full when it goes in. Then it also helps provide some cover from weeds, until the peanut establishes. They've done that in several areas downtown. And it,
Planting in conjunction with one another?
yeah, they
Okay.
plant them at the same time, so they'll plant the gold mount at like 18 inches, they'll plant the peanut at like 12, and that way it fills in and it
Yeah.
keeps the weeds out
Yeah.
without having to go in there and handful all the weeds.
But then when the lantana starts looking bad, it makes the median look bad.
They just pull it out,
Yeah.
they just go in and pull it out, and underneath it's all filled in with the peanut.
Well, the county did a bunch of it on the Boy Scout extension
Yeah.
and didn't pull it out, and it made the whole median
Yeah,
look
well,
terrible.
right, that's the key, you gotta pull out the lantana when it dies.
Other thoughts, Kathleen?
So I wanna know if you're gonna take out that catchy grass, or you're leaving that in?
Well, it sounds like we're taking it out, it's just what, I mean, it's a matter of which material, and, I mean, I can absolutely recommend other materials on a revised plan. I mean, I can email a list of 3 or 4 to you, Scott, and you can send it out to the
Mhm,
group,
mhm.
and, whatever makes the most sense.
But have some little color in it.
We can try. It is a hard, hard thing to accomplish.
Al, any thoughts?
I think I've thrown them all out there, Paul.
How about for Mainscape, you guys okay? Alright, so where do we wanna go?
Let me ask one quick question. Mainscapes, what do you think, is the jasmine a better solution than the perennial peanut from a maintenance standpoint?
Jasmine, one time he got usually the weeds inside, it's really practical for the, really.
It's a slower grower too, it takes longer to get established than
Mhm.
jasmine.
And I think Lee County's had a lot better luck with the perennial peanut, right?
On certain roadways, I mean, on 41, it's all jasmine, and it's, I mean, it's, there's nothing growing in there, but that was back when they had all kinds of maintenance dollars too, though. But it makes a difference. I mean, it's, when they could pay vendors to hand pull weeds, it's a lot easier to,
Yeah, well,
Maintain.
41 was kind of a special road.
it was, a very special road.
Yeah, my only concern with the peanut is, I think it's also weedy too, until it really fulls
It
in
is,
all the
until you
way.
get- yeah, you gotta
And then it
have
looks
full weeds
It looks nasty, and we don't want people out there in the middle
But
of the
there
meeting
is
pulling weeds.
there's something you can put on them now, you just spray it on them and the weeds die. It doesn't hurt the peanut.
Yeah, we've seen it planted before.
Isn't that what JB told us?
Yeah, he was talking about something about that, but I don't remember. But we can find that out from him.
Yeah, I just think that needs to be thick enough for, if you wanna use the lantana or whatever, something to get that
Mhm.
to grow in quick. So,
Yeah,
so it doesn't,
planted would definitely help with density, yeah.
yeah, right.
Well, we have it, we were gonna do 12 on center, so
Okay.
thicker than that?
What size plant? 6 inch?
Yeah.
What do you think, Freddie? The spacing, 12-inch centers, 6-inch plant, thick enough?
On the peanut,
Mm-hmm, yeah.
We've been trialing some selective herbicides to try to control some of the weeds that are popping up, grassy weeds.
Kathleen?
I have a question because of the concern of the silver buttonwood, all right, because it's supposed to, I guess, would get moldy looking and not be pretty. What if they just put the little Alexander palms all in that area, with in between with something that has some color?
Well,
I'm just asking.
I'm sorry, say that again? I missed the last
Get
part.
rid of the silver buttonwood that
Right.
people think would cause problems, instead put the, continue with the Alexander palm. I don't know how it would work, but it's a suggestion, and then have the color in between. If the silver buttonwood is supposed to be moldy, and after a while, it looks kind of black. So I'm concerned that that would.
Well, I think Jonathan's trying to break up the height and the texture, that's why he changed plants. I would assume that's what you're
Mhm.
doing.
Yeah.
Do we-
it's
do
Trying
we
to avoid
really-
a monoculture.
Do we have a concern with the silver buttonwood getting moldy looking?
They can,
But can they not also?
sometimes they cannot, but they are often, Dolores, you've seen them out there,
I think it's worse in the rainy season that they get the mold all over them.
But can you spray them, treat them, do something to
Yeah,
kinda keep
you
it under
can.
control?
You
Mhm.
can.
Question for Freddie, he says yes.
Okay. So it's a concern but not insurmountable?
Right.
Not insurmountable.
Okay. Okay, so where do we wanna go? I think if I'm hearing things, we would probably prefer to keep the annuals at the bullnoses. We're okay with the perennial peanut and the green island ficus. We're going to accept the Alexander palms whether we like them or not. Is that right?
That sounds like that's what we're
Will-
stuck
And the
with.
silver buttonwood. whatever.
And the silver buttonwood, and what we wanna change is to look at something different for the Waxahachie.
Right. That's what I'm hearing.
And we wanna do something to encompass that first median, to make sure that we got that covered, so that's all 4 medians.
Yep. It'll be similar, just working with the existing Royals.
Okay.
Basically, what you have with the Alexanders will happen, other than the noses,
Right.
will happen under the Royals, and then the open spaces will be whatever, substitution we come up with for the
Okay,
Waxahachie
so do
grass.
we have a motion to tell him to proceed that way?
Yeah.
I have one
motion.
more little point I wanna say real quick. Now, to put in the annuals, we're gonna have to dig that soil out and replace it. We can't put annuals in that existing soil. We're
Okay.
gonna have to put in some good potting soil for those, or they won't survive.
Mostly palm roots right now, so I
Yeah.
have to go lay
Yeah.
down.
Palm roots,
bring in
rocks, and
soil.
sand that's in there
Mhm.
right now.
It's road base.
Yes.
You
We-
have
we
something
know.
else? Or
That's
is
what I was.
that was gonna
to,
say,
just 'cause
okay.
It's root bound, it's palm
Right.
root bound. and
So-
it's
so
an
we-
annual bed.
We got a motion to proceed in that direction, and as they suggested, yeah, the islands need to be, the meat, or the bull noses need to be cleaned out. Also, you need to run a conduit down through there?
Yes, I was gonna bring that up, thank you. Look, well, we are reviewing and finalizing the, street lighting replacement plan. Where the poles are today, we're gonna change those out, and by putting in a new pole, a frangible breakaway pole there. Basically, what I've seen is it's a, same size pole with a double head like exists. It'll be a cast-in-place base,
Mhm.
foundation, and then the pole bolts onto that. So we're gonna have to, before or in conjunction with our landscape work, we're gonna have to install the conduit connectivity in between all these poles.
We wanna get these guys to add that to their drawing?
What I would,
Or,
what I would like to do is, I'm meeting with Tetra Tech, Danny Nelson, on Thursday.
Mhm.
And I will get I have their plan, I can share that with you and draft, but I'll get them to send you the CAD, but I wanna work out the verbiage on, I don't think I want the irrigation contractor putting in electrical conduit.
Okay.
Not to take anything away from those guys. But, we're gonna bid out the street lighting replacement here in the islands, and then we have some more work on Griffin Drive, and we have more work at the soccer field. So it's a package of 3 projects in one for an electrician that's getting ready to go out to bid.
So you're putting lights back in the medium instead of on the sides?
That's correct.
There's lights currently in the median.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know they are, but I thought they were gonna get rid of them and have them on the side instead.
No, we never discussed that. Not in this area.
so the, in that, the installation of, I mean, the conduit needs to go in now. It's one way or another, whether it's for this or whatever.
We'll go in at the same time.
Okay, what about the foundations? When are you gonna put them in? Not till the
I can't put
streetlights
them
go
in until we pull the pole, drop in the foundation. So they go in the same location. The poles now are all precast concrete, and they'll pull that out and very little auger for the new hole, for the 22-foot round pole base. But it's the sweep of the conduit and the pole boxes, so there'll have to be an area there, and we'll try to get the foundations in there, which should be a short lead item versus the poles, which might be a long lead item. So it's a timing issue. We'll try to work with the landscape contractor on the upgrading the irrigation, which he's gonna put in his plans as well. And we'll change out the bullnose soils, we'll add the conduit for the lighting, whether we put it in this contract or have an electrician come in and do it.
Yeah, we'll show it, and what we'll recommend is it be pushed off to one side or the other, so it's not right in the middle underneath the trees,
Okay,
if
yeah, I like
possible.
that.
And we have where the existing lights are shown on all
Yeah,
the
you got them in
medians.
the CAD files, you probably
Yeah.
ought to put them on these things.
No, they're here. We have.
are
them-
they?
Yeah, they're the little stars. We just have to probably move the plants out around. There's 2 in this median.
Okay,
They're right where the green island ficus
And we
is.
have,
right, I see them now, yeah.
we have the existing irrigation that's operable
Right.
right now, and I can't remember where those lines run. Back a curb?
Most of them, yeah.
Most of them are back a curb right now. So when we put in our electrical, we'll run it
The opposite side.
halfway between the center and the curb and, you know, get it cleaned.
There's some valves in the middle of the one island, there's valves.
Yeah, and we got some crossings. So I'll show you all the asphalt
Mhm.
that we have, Jonathan. We'll be able to
Perfect.
overlay that and work together and get that complete.
Okay, so we have a motion, do we have a second?
I don't like this at all, but he had to work with Lee County. He
Right.
didn't have any choice, and as long as we get rid of the Fakahatchee, I guess I can second it.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to proceed based on those comments. Do we have any other comments or discussion? Any other thoughts? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item, thank you, Jonathan, we appreciate
Just
it.
a point of, if I could, Jonathan, if I can pick your brain, we've had
Yep.
this general discussion as far as continuing on from here, a timeline, because I wanna try to get this work done.
Wrapped up, right.
Yeah, this year, calendar year, and make it look good sooner than later. With the direction we're given today, plan adjustment, you can, I know you mentioned earlier on that you wanna run the conceptual plan by the county.
Yeah.
And he needs a week or so to look at that. Meanwhile, you can start your working drawings and integrate the other information. And I know your goal is to get this turned around in the next 30 days,
Or less.
or less.
I mean, I'll be honest, my plans are done, and all I have to do is change the label to whatever plan, because the spacing's not going to change.
Okay, your
on the
design
fa-
work's done, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had all of that to make sure the pattern would work in every media. So, all I need to do, and what I hope I can do, is do a sit-down review with Bob and his staff, get whatever changes they want, based on their concerns, and then I will send you final plans, including irrigation plans and a full bid schedule. So, you'll be able to have something that you can you can attach it to whatever your front end docs are, so you can just give
Okay,
it to
right,
whoever's
right.
going to build it, and I'm assuming it's probably who's maintaining it, or maybe not, I don't know how that works here, so.
They'll have an opportunity, that's for sure. One thing that at the last board meeting, they expressed some concern that we weren't sharing information with them from this committee. And, you know, it was expressed by the chairman, we're trying to fast track and get this thing taken care of and get it planted from the condition it exists today, which is not very pleasing to anyone. So, we need to, that's why we're trying to expedite and get this thing taken care of, but we don't wanna miss anything either. So,
Well, they're welcome to come listen, huh?
I guess what I'm asking, with his concept plan, we'll have enough, does it need to come back to this board? This committee, I mean?
I don't think so.
I mean, he can list the options and then we can bid it out and
Yeah.
come back with that, and so I think at the,
I mean, I don't think we wanna wait for another meeting to come back.
I agree, thank you.
No, I think we've given them some direction.
Okay.
We've blessed it as far as the committee. It's up to the board. If the board wants to change it, I mean, they can do whatever they want. So we just give them our recommendations. so.
Exactly, okay. Then what we'll probably do is, we're setting the agenda for the October 1st CDD board meeting, and we'll list this as an informational item, and that we're proceeding in that regard with your notes from today.
Mhm.
Does that work for everybody?
Yep.
I mean, unless anything changes, my schedule has been to have you full drawings by end of next week, so.
Oh, wow.
So
Awesome.
unless something drastic happens at that board meeting, that is the direction per our meeting last week that
Yeah.
we have scheduled.
Okay.
I mean, on our end.
All right, no, that's wonderful.
She'll actually have finished plans October 1st then,
Yes.
to show the.
Then we can hand that out. That'd be
Yeah.
fantastic. Show and tell.
If you can email me the digital copy of any as-bills that you have of the irrigation, I don't care if they're hand markups, anything that you have, just so we can adjust, make the proper adjustments or recommendations on our irrigation plans. I just don't see a reason to fully redesign all these medians. If you have
No,
the
I-
irrigation in there, save the money and just adjust what you have, put new heads in, put new nozzles in, whatever makes the most sense. But I would not suggest going in and tearing it out and starting over.
No, thank you. I'll email right now and we'll get it going.
Perfect.
All right,
And then-
thanks, Jonathan.
Yep, no
Do-
problem.
A couple real quick questions. Does he need to be at the October 1st meeting, or are you and I gonna present that to the board? Is that how, what is your thought process?
I hadn't thought that far.
I can be there, it's not a big
Can you
deal, I
be
can
there
be
then?
there for questions if that's, I mean, if it's
Okay.
an informational only, if there's additional questions, I can be there for that, that's not.
That'd be wonderful. All
not a
right.
problem.
It starts at 3 o'clock on the 1st.
Just real
Did-
quick on the input on the irrigation part of it, when that sod comes out of there, you're gonna destroy the I don't know how we'll get, salvage the irrigation by removing the sod, everything's so root bound, everything's back at curve, I mean, I think it's just gonna kinda get destroyed.
No, I'm not talking, I know laterals and funny
Yeah,
pipe and
yeah.
stuff like that's gonna be destroyed, I'm talking things like mainline valves, they might have to be,
I don't think we're just gonna convert it to drip since there's not gonna be any turf in there.
That-
We
that's
have
up-
overhead sprays in the thing and all the damage that's gonna be done. It'd probably be more economical to
Absolutely.
drip it than it would be to try to fix the sprays that are damaged.
Whatever from a maintenance standpoint you guys wanna do, it does not, I mean, either way, I was just trying to find the easiest, the most cost-effective way to use what's already been installed, and it's primarily the infrastructure pieces, so the valves and the main line and all that. If all of that can stay in place, how the rest of it gets tweaked is significantly easier, that's the cheaper side, so.
Okay, and if you need any help with Bob, let me know.
Oh, Bob's easy.
Okay.
You know that, he's easy to get a hold of, so, he's got he wears one hat now, not three, so. Thank you very
All right.
much.
Jonathan, thanks very much. Take care.
All right, under new business, I guess just to continue on with what you just said, Scott, what did the board wanna see? I mean, they saw the letter you sent out, this is the first drawing we've had, what was
They
there?
just, some of the members of the board felt that they were in the dark, and
That's the way most politicians should be, but that's besides the point.
you're being recorded.
That's okay, I'll say
So
it to
anyway,
her.
no, we just wanna share the information with the community and get it out there, so by him having this fast track, such as he just described, is a wonderful thing for all of us. So we're gonna include that at the next,
Would
the
it,
board meeting.
okay, would it be helpful to actually put this drawing on your website as just a kind of a typical?
Well, let him, I think we need to dress it up, and
Wait-
we can do
wait
that, that's a
until they
good
get
thought. Yeah, we can add it as information and,
Yeah,
and,
just so
yeah,
everybody
that's a
knows.
super idea,
I
Okay.
can put it,
yeah. Hmm?
Um,
I can put it out.
Okay,
okay.
yeah.
The other thing is, they also talked about some concern with us missing meetings, realizing that we did not have a meeting in July or August, both were canceled for lack of quorum, but both meetings were followed up within 2 weeks that actually were more timely with what was going on than if we
Yeah.
had the original board meeting, so is there a concern there that I'm missing?
Well, there was, it was expressed that, you know, that didn't want it to drag. I mean, you can speak for yourself, Kathy, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind at all. Is it okay if I address you?
Yeah?
It was just that there was 2 meetings that were called, there was no quorum, and it was a shame that Scott and Elle were here at the last meeting. There were 2 residents here, and the attorney was on hold to talk, and he couldn't talk because no one showed up. I mean, I was concerned that, you know, I don't wanna see things, you know, be held back because there is not a quorum, and, there's nothing, what you had a follow-up was only on deciding who the landscaper was, okay, which was not totally a meeting, all that occurred was the choosing of the landscape. But, you know, even today, the 3rd person didn't show up till 7 minutes after 4, and so you had to wait. So that is a concern, I mean, you know, how long do you wait for the quorum to show up? And that is a concern because we don't want things not being done through, I'm not talking just at Stony Brook, I'm talking about all of Gateway.
Mhm.
And, you know, if you don't have a quorum, okay, even 2 weeks later, you're still making it 2 weeks later to make decisions. And that's important when you're, you know, to the community. Because
Okay.
I get asked questions, not just from Stony Brook too now, but from other areas of the community.
Okay, well, we had told the board we would meet once a month, We've done that since the first meeting in January. I guess if the board wants to give us some other direction, Scott, they just need to tell us that and we'll
Well, I
react
think,
accordingly.
one idea that was tossed around is the possibility of having an alternate member who can come in if the full group isn't here. An alternate member idea was tossed out there, so, don't know if that is something that wants to be considered or not, and, I know that, I think all of you are, other than Dolores, are gainfully employed outside the home.
Now, everybody is, and I had surgery, and the only one I missed was
That's right,
surgery.
yeah. So, things come up, and again, all of you are volunteers, and we thank you and applaud you for that. And, if you want to maybe, think about the idea of having an alternate to help make sure we get quorum. I mean, we have this on other committees where we don't have quorum. Diane, is challenged with it from the other community meetings and other, work group meetings that we have from time to time, so, something to consider.
Is setting up a conference line when people can't be here to call in so that you do, is that an option to have a quorum that way through remote? It's not,
They can't, they're not accounted.
have to be present.
They have to be present for the sunshine.
They're not counted to make the quorum, is that what you're saying?
They're not, they couldn't do a motion, they can't be included in the voting process. I mean, they can call in, but
Mhm.
the sunshine laws state
Well, I
that.
thought at the service district board meeting, they had a member called in.
They can call in, but they can't count them unless it's a situation where I think the district council,
Okay, is it okay to have an alternate member on a committee?
It appeared to be
Yeah, I know.
accepted that, there was no objection to that thought, or from what I know, we'd have to check with Tony. And
No,
see
that's,
what the-
that's really what I was
Yeah,
asking
yeah.
from the
Yeah.
legal perspective, is that
Not,
doable?
I believe it's doable, sure,
mhm.
Okay.
sure. So I don't know if you want to act on it now, or, consider it, and we can get some more, research or an opinion from Tony. I don't know what your,
Yeah, why don't you ask Tony for an opinion, unless somebody wants to do something now?
Well, I've been on this committee, 2 months, and I think we've already had 3 meetings,
Right,
so it's not like we're not having meetings.
right.
Like he said, we've had one for every month that we're supposed to have one.
Yeah.
So, I think the thing is we need to just communicate. My particular issue is I'm not sure that I know that everybody's gonna be here, so I sent an email this morning to see if there's a quorum. Because if there's not gonna be a quorum, I'm gonna stay at my job and do.
right, and that's, Diane does help bird dog everybody.
Right,
To
so
establish a-
maybe we need to just start a little earlier in that process. Maybe you start, 2 days ahead or something, or just asking to make sure?
I sent it out, what,
Last week. Yeah.
and I didn't get a response, so then I sent it again, and then I was out.
Yeah, she was out, and,
Oh, I see.
I mean, we know today when the next meeting is.
Right.
I understand, but I'm
Just
sure a
bringing
lot of people
people
have
in.
intentions to be here, and then they know a day or 2 out.
I
if
sent
they
it,
have a
I
conflict,
sent
They
it out.
just-
Well,
Email
let's
Diane.
just see what happens at the October meeting, we can
Yeah.
talk about it then.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I don't have anything else under new business unless anybody else does.
I think it's nice, though, that she sent out that there was a quorum, and
Yeah.
then that let him know that he
That's
could do his
appreciated, I
job,
appreciate
yeah.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay,
do
good.
that.
So our next meeting is set for October 27th at 4 o'clock, and between now and then, Scott and I will get some kind of a ranking sheet out to everybody, and we've all got our homework going through and reading all this fine presentation material.
Yes, we do.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
So be it. Meeting is done.
All right, thank you all very much.